Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast Tantric Leadership. My name is Anja and I'm your host. I'm a somatic and systemic life and relationship coach, and I work with clients all over the world in the realm of Tantra, intimacy, relationships, and systemic constellation. My guest of today is Pujan. Pujan has studied Tantra and taught Tantra and worked with different aspects of Tantra for more than 40 years. And he built up the first Tantra school in Australia. And we're super excited to have him today on this podcast and as well as a guest at our EU Tantra Festival in May 2025. Welcome today, Pujan. And I would love to ask you to share a bit about yourself.
I come from a background of psychology. I was born in Germany. I studied psychology, and then I went to India to meet my first teacher. He was then called Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. And the thing that blew me away was that there was a very strong emphasis on meditation and therapy. We often forget that spirituality was a very dry subject in the 50s and then later on. I mean, to be spiritual, you had to be serious. You had to be quite life known affirming. I mean, you were certainly you should be celibate. You should be not laughing too much, not dancing too much. And here I was coming to this environment where there was an emphasis on aliveness. And the whole experiment was a tantric experiment. Now, I don't want to talk too much about the essence of Tantra because we can talk a lot about it. But the point is that in Tantra, it is life affirming, meaning everything that is happening internal can be transformed into joy and happiness. There is nothing that needs to be rejected, suppressed, or ignored. And of course, sexuality is a part in most of us in the West, and let me add in the East even stronger, that we repressed. But sexuality is on the when it's transformed into higher chakras, is actually aliveness, is joy. It's a very joyous experiment. So we started with these experiment of tantric workshops where we taught people to let go of their socially imposed restrictions and shame and guilt and to live freely, naturally. So when I came back to Australia in 1986, I started the first Tantric school with these experiences and knowledge that I had. And I combined the therapeutic part that from my background with the spiritual part that I learned in India. And we created the first Tantric school called Tantra Vision. And it was really the first Tantric school in Australia.
And how did the people react on this?
Well, look, let me say we had a lot of the television programs. We had newspapers coming to us. In fact, it's quite a funny story with the filming of our workshops. They came in. They were very sensitive to the subjects. Of course, there was nudity involved and all of that, and it was shown on public television.
Wow, which year was it? It was end of 80s, right?
Yeah, well, 87, something like this, 88, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really well made, but a week after that was shown, and we were really talk of the town, so to speak, the program was canceled. You know, it was too much for them. The show was called actually Sex. But anyway, that's that's another subject. So we trained people in New Zealand and Australia. And when you mentioned tantric leadership, I really like that. What does that mean? I don't know how you define it, but I define it as a leadership that is not afraid to look at the mud, and then to let the lotus grow out of it. It's a tantric symbol of out of the dirt. What is the dirt? Our traumas, our suppression, our denial, our shame, our guilt. Now, we all have that to a certain degree. Some have it more intensely, some have it less. But it needs to be looked at, because if not, the lotus cannot grow. So how do we look at it? Through honesty, through admitting that we are not perfect. I'm not perfect. I look into this. I will see through understanding and maybe even experiential understanding and experience. I can transform this mud into the lotus. And a big part of the mud is, of course, our sexuality. Now, what Osho, he's called now Osho, what Osho brought in, and this is the beautiful thing, is meditation, awareness, consciousness. So with this energy with this sexual energy, it's not just an energy that stays in the sexual organs. It's an energy that spreads all over our body. And we only have one energy that can be transformed through all the chakras. And if that same sexual energy is transformed and not suppressed through guilt and shame, it moves into the third chakra through power and aliveness. It can move into the heart through compassion and love, and so on, till it swamps all over your body, and there is bliss and joy and all of these aspects. So in a leadership role, a tantric leadership has to be honest, clear, and the person has to walk his talk, because the person is not afraid to expose aspects in themselves that maybe are not purified yet. We are all humans. If we can relax this idea that I have to be somebody different to who I really am, such a burden drops, and you become natural, you become ordinary. We've done this for 10, 12 years. I don't know exactly for how long. We trained people, but then that structure of Tantra vision had to move on into other areas. But the core aspect of it, of course, stayed with me in my other ways of teaching.
So when I understand you right, tantric leadership for you is an authentic embodiment.
Yes.
Like someone who really walks his or her talk.
Yeah.
Who has gone through the mud, become a lotus, and is able to really to lead, guide, and empower others instead of suppress others, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, say it again.
Yeah, no, because there is no need to overpower somebody. There is no need to be even appreciated and loved by others. That doesn't mean that you become unloving, but you are honest and authentic. And
how do people get there to that point?
Okay.
Like, this is the most important thing. How do I get to a point where I don't need the love and the appreciation and the attention of others anymore?
Okay. This is not something that happens overnight. So whenever somebody says this workshop will free you of this overnight, it's not happening. It happens step by step through self-analyzation, self-observation. And really, you need to have some inner strength to face these hidden aspects in yourself. Yeah.
Yes, a lot.
Yeah, a lot, yes. We can speak about experience here. There's no shortcut to it. In fact, if you do try to shortcut it, we call it spiritual
Bypassing.
bypass. Yeah, and this doesn't work. So naturally, it's a slower process, but it really works. It really you can feel the results over years. Maybe you not yourself feel it from one day to another, but other people observe it. You know, they say, well, you're so much more alive, you're so much more happy. And then you say, oh, really? Oh, is that, yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, but it's even better that you mention it. So, and it's possible for everybody. It doesn't matter how deep your trauma is, because, and now moving from the psychological to the spiritual, because what you're looking for, love, joy, is already within you, unrecognized behind all these layers of trauma. Yeah. Or when, trauma is the new word. I mean, we call it through repression, through the guilt and shame and all of that. It's all bottled up there. Once you relieve it, once you realize, well, you're like anybody else. There's nothing to hide. You become more joyous, more relaxed. Huh? And that, of course, makes you a happier person. And then, okay, and then we go to the next step. Then we deepen our meditation, and we move into a more spiritual realm, not forgetting our roots, but we build upon it. And if you want to use the chakra system, which I very much like as a roadmap, from the second, we move to the third, empowerment and integration about the male and female within yourself, which is another very important aspect of Tantra, to actually own as a man, your female, your receptive part, and as for a woman to own your masculine expressive part. So you move from the third to the fourth. The unconditional love. This is such a big one. This is not, I need you, I want you, I can't live without you. It is like, I love because this is who I am. And then you move to the throat, and you can express your honesty, your realness. And people actually listen because there is something in you that resonates with others. And then, of course, we go higher into the higher realms, but we all start first with the mud. And this is the great transformation. It's possible for everybody.
May I just jump in to give a quick explanation around trauma? So you already said, like, it's lots of suppression, shame, and guilt, and all that stuff. So in the, let's call it, modern world, we're exploring different forms of trauma. So it can be individual trauma from your own lifetime, what you have experienced in your life. Then it can be ancestral trauma, which your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents have experienced, especially for European people in all these wars which have been happening. And epigenetic nowadays already proves that it's in our genes. So the trauma goes through the generations into you, like you're an evolution, but you're carrying that trauma. And that stuff can come up. It can be stored in our bodies. For example, yesterday I was leading a feminine embodiment class, and one woman started crying by holding her breasts. And then she said, oh, and I saw pictures came up. It wasn't from me. And she was a bit confused. And then I said, okay, this can be because it's stored epigenetically in your body from your grandmother or great-grandmother. And it's good that it comes up and you can explore that. And then the third layer is actually the collective trauma, right? Which another spiritual teacher of mine, Thomas Hüppel, works a lot with. And I got a broader understanding of that. So collective trauma is social programming and collective trauma in forms of wars. So when a war is happening in a country, the whole country gets traumatized. So on the one hand, the country itself, physically, the energetics of the country, but as well all the people. And so how do you see that from a psychologist perspective to like kind of separate these traumas and to help people with that,
Okay.
that they can better understand and deal with this kind of stuff?
Now, of course, we're talking a very big form here, the collective trauma. But the collective trauma, it's like a forest is made out of trees. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So even the collective starts and ends with you. And so where do you start and where do you end in becoming more aware, more conscious within yourself? Stop to change the outer. I mean, if you're called to do this, that's fine. But transformations happens within you. And from a tantric and a Vedantic and a spiritual point, you are already free. Yeah, you are conditioned to these traumas. That's true. But of course, you can overcome them. Why? Because they are not ultimately real. There are programs within you that you believe they're still running
True.
your life. Yeah.
Yes, and
So
it's not you.
it's not you, because if it would be you, there is no chance of healing whatsoever. Yeah. But it
Exactly.
is not. It is just a deep conditioning. And we both are born in Germany. I mean, come on. I mean, Germany has this huge guilt. And I was very aware because I was born and the war was still very much felt when I went overseas. I never want to say that I was a German, guilty German. God, So that was very real.
Yes.
But it is ultimately not real. You are not a German. You are not connected to being a Nazi or being in all of that. But to see that, you need a conscious effort, or we call it in yoga tapas. You need energy to actually disconnect from this old program. And how do you do this? This is true with all disconnection from trauma, through awareness, through conscious living, through honest living. Yeah, honest. I mean, when you walk your talk, as you said. Yeah? So when
Yes.
these feelings come up, bring them up. Yeah, acknowledge them. Not necessarily externally. Maybe you do sometimes, but internally. Oh, here it goes again. I'm feeling guilty because whatever. Yeah. Um, you can overcome it. It is, but it starts and ends with you. But who is really doing the work?
This is
If
the
we
thing that
if
it
we
just came to
collect,
mind.
yeah, if we collectively would do that, we call it deconditioning. Yeah, uh, that would be great. But no, just the opposite. What is running our society? Well, we have three major things, and this is power. We want to have more power, or we want to have more money. Or we what was the last one? Sex. Yes, yes. We want to be more attractive and so on. So
Or we manipulate through sex, like, right?
we
Women
manipulate
manipulate
the sex. I
men,
mean,
and so there is
and
a
we
bit.
use it for power as well. But
Exactly.
but we're not really looking inside ourselves. Where is this coming from? Where is that really true? Do I need to be loved? Do I need to be successful? Do I need to have a lot of money so people love me? No, the advertising, the whole society supports that outgoing false satisfaction rather than ingoing. In fact, some people, because me and my wife were very much involved in the yoga world. People are saying, oh, we're becoming all more conscious. So many people doing yoga. No, look at the yoga world. Money, power, sex runs there. This exactly the same. No,
Yeah.
well, but very
Not
much.
everywhere, but in parts of it. I saw
in,
that
in,
as well.
in parts of it, we have yoga schools breaking down because of these aspects and so on. So just because a lot of people do stretching exercises, it's not necessarily an honest tantric spiritual path they're going on. It
I
would be
totally
great.
agree.
I mean,
Yeah, it would be great, but what we're seeing in the world is lots of hurt inner children fighting for power
yeah,
and money.
exactly.
So
Uh, yeah.
how can we change that would be the question. How can we
No,
change that with a
how
tantric
can you?
approach on leadership?
Yeah, I mean, there's this beautiful bumper sticker. Be the change you want to see in the world. You know, nothing
Exactly.
gets
So
away
it
with this.
comes back to ourselves so that we practice to be present, like what you said, share with meditation, to really become more present with ourselves, to be more aware of what is going on in my body in this situation and to feel it, to own it, to acknowledge it, instead of just reacting and shooting and acting from these hurt parts, right?
And then the more you sort of purify yourself, you'll never be totally sattvic pure. Forget it. You know, that will not never, you don't need to be, but maybe, you know, strive for it. But when you become clearer and so on, then you start sharing it. Not before, then you start sharing it. And this is your, when you said what to do about it, this is your contribution. You
Yes.
will not you will not change the world, but you can change, maybe for the positive, your environment. Yeah, and these people maybe change then other people. In the beginning of my spiritual path, I really thought, oh gosh, I've seen the light and I want to, you know, bring it into the world. I want to help everybody.
I
No,
understand.
yeah, but as we grow older, we realize no. Like I said, it starts and ends with us, but then the love we feel for ourselves will flow out, hopefully, through other people, and that transforms them. You know? And if they are feeling transformed and grateful, so on, they want to share it. You
Yes.
know, you've been given the gift of self-realization. There is no way you don't want to share it. How you share it is a different thing. But we're talking about tantric leadership. Tantric leadership is sharing your self-realization, your realization of your own truth. In a, you know, in a loving, open way. So
And as well for me, sharing your support, wisdom, and love,
yes,
actually.
yes, yeah. It's love in the end. I mean, love, I would say, with a bit of knowledge as well. You know, love in itself is great, but what you know, we get some knowledge as well. And this is why, coming back to the Tantric festival that happens, it is very beautiful to create in this world where we mostly fight against each other and we're competing with each other and so on, an energy field of many people coming together in the same longing to be free, where we can drop our masks. In our imperfection, we can meet each other. And because I come from India and from the Osho movement, which I left many years ago, but what was so amazing was thousands of people, and you just walked around and you didn't have to have any defenses. You know, you saw somebody and they saw you, and you just came and hugged, you know, just like that. And then you moved on. It was really very beautiful. And on festivals like that's coming up, it's this, hopefully we can create the same
Yes.
trust,
Absolutely.
the same recognition that we're all on our own path together. Yeah. And it is so powerful to drop your mask, to be authentic in your vulnerability, and meet somebody else who is authentic in their vulnerability. There's nothing more beautiful. And I'm not talking about sex here. If that happens, great. But I'm talking about looking into each other's, holding hands, or just smiling at each other. you know?
Like you're talking about real connection, like really
Yes,
seeing and meeting each other
exactly,
without
exactly.
having any kind of fear or shames or, you know.
Exactly. And on these festivals, that's the closest we can get
Yeah.
to experience that. And that gives such a joy that you hopefully then when you move away, you want to create it in your own little environments in a way, you know, that you can do it. I mean, not everybody is a workshop leader, but in your own environment, maybe with your family, your children, your brothers, sisters, fathers, and so on.
Yes, and this is exactly my motivation and my aiming in organizing this whole festival so that people get exactly this spark, and this
Yeah.
spark becomes a seed in them, and then it
Yeah.
grows to a beautiful lotus in
Yes.
their own
No.
environment, in their own little communities and families, and that they become able to be more authentic, more compassionate, and more loving.
Yeah.
Because
And
this
and
will change the world, actually.
that does. And the seed has to be planted somewhere. You know, in a way, we are seed planters. No, I don't know the word, but we are planting seeds. You know, and it needs a field for it to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs a ripe soil for these seeds to blossom. And festivals or major workshops or so on, there are these seeds and the soil that can grow. And and ultimately, why are we here on this world? You know, just to eat, drink, sleep, and then
No,
die
and
one.
work. Most people work most of the day.
Yeah, and this, well, okay, that's another subject, you know. Let your work be your prayer,
Your
Osho said,
prayer.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Um,
Betty phrased it so beautifully. You can listen to that in another podcast. So
I,
she said like this yoga, the yoga asana becomes your prayer. And for me as well, what I bring to the world, my work becomes my prayer, like my devotion, be in
yes,
service
yes.
for God and for humanity, right?
And when you do that, it's not work. You
No.
see, you transform what you do because being creative, being active is something beautiful. You know, we
Hmm.
all want to be active, creative, contributing to something. And when we do this with love and devotion, it's not work. And and then it's beautiful. And then we can combine, and this is, by the way, tantric as well, we can combine work with our spirituality. It's not contradictory. Huh? I
Yes.
was very lucky that I could do this, and you can do this as well, Anja, you know. But everybody can do this. It doesn't mean that you run workshops. You can be a gardener and bring your passion into you can, who knows,
Cook,
you know,
cook,
everything can,
whatever it is. Yes. Be
yeah,
a mother.
be all of this. It doesn't matter what it is, but it is the devotional aspect to your work that makes the work spiritual. And and only this way, really, we can transform the world. If every action we do contributes to the well-being of the planet, of each
Yes,
other.
exactly.
And gosh, don't we need it? You know, don't we need it?
Yes, absolutely. And like my dream is like the festival is just a start. For me, I would to some point love to have like a physical school or center where we can bring more of that wisdom and create more of these kind of experiences so that people can come there and learn and get these sparks and bring that in their communities. And then that we
Yes.
have amazing teachers coming in and out, So yeah, whoever listens to that and wants to contribute, please reach out to me.
Yeah.
This is really
I
close to
mean,
my heart because there is not like we don't have that at the moment. We don't have like a really healthy tantric leadership school, yeah, where we have people who are really trained in trauma, who are really integrated with their feminine and their masculine side, and who are able to authentically teach that. So at the moment, there's lots of people teaching tantra or things in these realms who are still quite traumatized and overstepping. So my wish is really, really to bring something more healthy into this world and to create maybe even like a label. Like in yoga, we have the Yoga Alliance label, to have a label for this, to reach a specific quality standard in this whole world of Tantra.
Sure. This is a very beautiful intention.
Yeah.
Not easy to manifest, but in these things, just to try to bring this into life is already the right thing to do. Yeah.
Yes.
But what I see, communities is tantric communities would be the ideal thing. But I lived in tantric communities. It has its own challenge. I don't want to go into that right now. But I see it more as training centers where people
Me too.
come.
This is why I said yes.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't want to create a community. I really want a education center,
an
a
education center.
healing and education center. This is
where people come for a while, learn, go back again, then come back to the center, and you train people. And I've done this to a certain degree already a long time ago. Yeah, that's certainly a beautiful aim to reach there. But let's start small, or not small, but let's start one step at a time. And this festival, I'm very much looking forward to it. I will fly in from Thailand, where I'm living right now, just to be with you guys. So
yes, we really want to create magic and bring exactly that into the festival and into the world.
Yeah. And Anja, great that you jump in it, and I hope you can fulfill this dream of yours. And it's a dream of all of us, but it needs courageous people to make it happen, And you see behind me Radha and Krishna dancing happily. I mean,
Let's get there.
Yeah, I'm in India right now on my own personal retreat, so that's why the picture is there.
Yeah, very beautifully. Any last sentence you would like to add, or do you feel complete for today?
I just want to add to people who are maybe hesitant to go to a big event of Tantra, or they might hear a lot of stories about this and that. Trust your heart. I know Anja, she will really make sure that it will be safe. Your boundaries will be accepted. There is no overstepping of them. We make very sure that it will be safe, joyful, very much joyful. It will be just, and when I look at the past of these festivals I've been to and these workshops, one big celebration of your own aliveness and joy. And a lot of things that we think we have to hold on tight, we can let go and see the joy that comes out of this. The immediate release of this energy that was there in suppression comes in expansion and expression. And it's just, see it, you come to one great, beautiful, safe, can I say party? Let's say party.
Yes, because I love parties and dancing.
Yes, exactly. So
thank you very much for saying that, Pujan, and for your feedback and for being with us on that podcast today. Much love.